All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again. Okay, so let's get ready to get into our spiritual vitamins. Shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone tuned into the Queen. Now, before I get started, because some people are going to be a little bit late, we just came off of another broadcast. So before I get started with the commentary, I'm going to share a couple of videos that I want you all to pay attention to. Okay, everyone, please come in giving a like and a share. Please give a like and a share. Okay, I know it's been a while since we've been on here, but we're about to start getting back on here every day. Okay, it's very imperative that we do so. So with that all being said, let me share these videos and then we'll get into the commentary, because today I'm going to be talking about how spirituality benefits your mental health. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it.
What's up? Dr. Martin here. Have you ever heard of the term spiritual bypassing? Spiritual bypassing is denying the presence and the validity of mental health issues due to the belief that those feelings come from Satan, or that those feelings come from a lack of faith. And if you pray enough, or if you are favored by God enough, he will take those feelings away from you. Do not believe in this. Do not believe in this scare tactic. You can have God, spirituality, the higher power that you believe in, and see a mental health clinician. These two things are not exclusive.
Okay, that's absolutely true and very good advice. Now, I want you to watch this video. It's kind of lengthy. It's about 8 minutes long. Okay, I want you all to listen to this because she said some very important things.
I can't get this out of my mind, and so I'm just going to say what I need to say now, and then I'll add on to it later. So most mental disorders set in around the age 25, meaning you can have a pretty normal life, and then around 18, your personality disorders will set in, and around 25, your actual mental disorders will set in. Like, that could be schizophrenia, that could be bipolar disorder, which is often why you'll be like, oh, we don't know why Keisha's baby daddy out on the streets, why she didn't know he was crazy. It's because Keisha met him when he was 16, and his personality didn't develop until he was 18, and his disorder didn't set in until 25. So Keisha had no way of knowing what she was battling. Now, scientifically, that's because the brain finishes developing around that age. But you know me, I'm always looking at the spiritual side of things. So spiritually, I'm starting to believe that 25 is like the age of enlightenment. Meaning, I believe people begin to tap into their higher self around the age 25. If 25 is when you start to tap into your greater potentials, then it would make sense that spiritual warfare would turn up a notch. To me, this will be the age where you really have to break generational curses. You'll probably find yourself between the ages of 25 and 30 as beginning to go through the same things your parents went through around those ages. Meaning, if there's any energies or entities out there, they're coming for you. And they could come for you in the forms of other people. And they will trigger you and trigger parts of your energetic field that might be fragmented or unhealed or sensitive. This is where it gets kind of weird or kind of scary. And I'll talk about this in another video, but have you ever had somebody that you met that was like, everything was cool, and then at some point, months in or years into the relationship or friendship or work partnership, they just switched up and seemed to have like changed completely? And it like maybe didn't seem like you was dealing with the same person. Like me, I have the gift of discernment. So usually I know off the rip if something is not right with somebody. But there's been times in the past where a person caught me off guard several months later and I didn't understand it. And I wondered, like, and prayed about it, like, hey, did my discernment fail me? Am I doing something wrong? And what I started to realize is this it's not so much always that your discernment failed you as much as some people open themselves up to other entities. So you probably have heard me say before that repetitive thought patterns opens your body up to spiritual attack. If you start thinking about crack all day, every day, you will be open to obsession or addiction. If you think about a person all day, every day, you will open yourself up. You will perform an energetic cord or energetic bond with them. You will develop, again, another form of obsession or addiction. If you think about being angry about something that pissed you off and you think about that all day, every day, you can become angry enough to unalive that person. Something will take over you and make you think it's okay to unalive them, because that thought process, you ruminated on it so long, you open your body up to outside energy to come in and kind of take over. So I think that when you're on a path and you're grounded and you're doing everything you need to do, sometimes people around you, if they're not spiritually grounded and they do have ruminating thoughts or they are susceptible to spiritual attacks, this is going to sound crazy and spooky, but I do think that spirits or entities can kind of attach themselves to those people, the people around you, in order to get to you. So your friend was your friend. 3 months ago. But your friend, although they might have been a good person and had good intentions, your friend might not be very grounded spiritually. So they might have been the weak link. They may have unintentionally allowed something to attach to them that is really targeting you. So you'll be sharing all this stuff with your friend. You'll be telling them about your goals and your dreams and things that mean a lot to you. And not necessarily your friend, but the entity acting through your friend that is attached to your friend is just taking notes. Okay, this is where we need to attack. This is where we can trigger. It's not that person necessarily, but it could be the entity attached to that person. So 6 months later, you just realize like the energy is different. The energy is shifted. I don't feel like, I'll never forget this guy I was dating who like, a couple months in, I just remember him laying his hand on my leg and it did not feel like a human hand. I like disassociated or something. And I remember looking at him and just looking in his eyes and it just didn't feel like it was him that was there anymore. And like, probably not even the next day we were sitting on the couch and I was trying to show him something about spirituality. We were watching TV and a bird flies into my window and just drops to the ground. And I had never seen that happen as long as I had been living there. I love birds. I leave my windows open a lot. Literally just hit the window and fell to the ground. This is like a day after I saw some weird stuff going on with the lights in my place, like very strange stuff. And I remember at that moment, he was like, oh my God, did you see that? And I never turned to look because I already knew. I just had this feeling that that was a sign and I knew what time it was. Old buddy boy had to go. Remember, he kept trying to get me to look at it and I just never turned my attention from what I was watching on TV because I was like, this is it. You got to make the decision. You got to do it quick. And so, of course, I broke things off with him and he was just like, he did not take it well. Like, I wasn't sure if I was going to have to unalive him in self-defense. Like, he went nuts when I broke things off. And I mean, absolutely nuts. I even saw a side of him after the crying and the no and the guilt trips. Then he turned to anger. His eyes like went black. Like he looked like if he could have, he would have did something so bad to me. Just that quick, he went from loving me to hating me. And that's when I was tried. Because I wanted to do something really, really bad to him in self-defense because I could tell that he wanted to harm me. And this is when I had to go back to the drawing board and spiritually ground myself. Because then my ego got in the picture and was like, yeah, we ain't finna be punk. Ain't nobody finna punk us. So he went through all those phases to try to pull me back in. But my weak spot was ego, was fighting. So this is where I almost got out of alignment. Because then I started having ruminating thoughts on the fact that he got violent with me. And my ruminating thoughts started ruminating on revenge. And that nobody was gonna punk me. And I'm not the little girl that you can just, do this, and that to anymore. At this point, he was winning. Or whatever entity was attached to him was winning because they had pulled me out of my loving alignment into anger and wrath and revenge and rumination. It had managed to pull me into a place spiritually where I would have risked my freedom just to prove that you ain't finna punk me. And y'all, that's how it works. That's how those tests come and sneak up on you in the sneakiest of ways. First, it started off by being close to me and showing me love. He was introducing spirits around me that I didn't like violence, watching violent TV shows all the time, alcohol, talking about drugs. He was trying to slowly pull me in and cross my boundaries and like basically sucking me into a vacuum of bullshit. And when that didn't work, he turned to guilt tripping and sympathy and blah, blah, blah. When that didn't work, remember, spirits will not try you where you're strong. They always try you where you're weak. My weakness at that time was my anger and my ego. I thought I had resolved it. I went to therapy for it and everything. I felt good. But it's easy to think that you're healed when you're not being tested. So boom, that was like the final test. He appealed to my anger and to my inner rage and to my inner child. And he set me off in every way possible. Y'all, I passed it. I let it go and I handled the situation with love. But baby, I struggled after that to bring myself. I literally felt shattered after that. I felt like somebody had literally just taken a whole chunk of my energy field out and ran off with it. It took me months to recover from that one standoff, that one, I don't even call it an argument. It's just him picking with me and posturing at me and showing anger and rage like he was going to do something to me. And it was an attempt to pull me out of alignment. Because a couple years ago, I probably would have pistol whipped him. A couple months ago, I probably would have stabbed him. So yeah, it was definitely me being tested. But yeah, then I found myself in a thought loop or a pattern that allowed outside entities to attach themselves to me. Because now I'm in a thought loop or a pattern of anger and rage. So he did successfully pull me out of alignment, but he did not get the reaction out of me he needed. So I did pass the test, but then I had to go back and do a lot of spiritual work. I had to send myself to a spiritual ICU and put those pieces of me back together that he had managed to shatter and set off and trigger. Then I realized that I still had some work to be done, and it took me several months to work on that. And I mean several months to work. I'm still working on it. I'm going to leave it at that. But if there's any part of this that you want to hear a part 2 to, then just let me know and comment on if you want to hear more about any part of this super long story. Bye.
Okay, so she clearly said a lot, but it was important for you to hear, because Michael says no matter how much you try to improve yourself, you have to be tested to know you learned what you need to learn. This is true. So let me say this also. Now, when she said that him being violent with her appealed to her ego side of self, and you know, the ego is what gets us in trouble very often, because the ego has something to prove at all times. And so you have to be able to rise above your ego, put your ego behind you. Basically, metaphorically speaking, you have to kill the ego. Now, for those of you that are members, you may recall that I did an esoteric video about some of the biblical allegories that pertain to killing our egos and raising your levels of consciousness. With that all being said, here's the thing. When she talked about his anger and rage, making her feel angry and revengeful, you know what that was? That was a transference of energy. How many times have I told you that energy is absolutely contagious? And so his energy was transferring to her. That's why the peaceful love that she felt turned into this wickedness and this anger and a thirst for revenge. But she was spiritually in tune enough that she was able to reel herself back in and didn't fall for the trap, because that's all it was. You see, the enemy sends out traps, puts out traps to ensnare you in. I want you to think about how she said that sometimes these malevolent entities will attach themselves to people around you. People that you love, people that you spend all of your time with, because they're trying to get to you. Now think about that. It absolutely makes sense, because we know that sometimes the Most High will send us messages through other people. Sometimes other people come and they tell us things, and this is really a message from the Most High. Sometimes these things happen. So just as well as the Most High sends people into our lives to give us a message, to teach us a lesson, or things of that nature, well, the devil does the same thing. Satan does the exact same thing. Now, if Satan can't get you one way, trust and believe he'll be looking for another. And sometimes it's directly with the people that you're around, that you're around. And that's why it's very important that when you're dealing with people, no matter how close of a friend you think they are, if there's something that you know that someone could potentially use against you, I would suggest you keep that to yourself. Because when friends become foes around the world, your secrets go. Okay? And so remember that. Reggie said energy transfer. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Now, I'm not going to show this PowerPoint on the screen. This is a PowerPoint I did for my college students about 3 years ago. I'm not going to show it on the screen because I'm having trouble with my browser failing for whatever reason when I show multiple things on the screen. So these videos are uploaded into my streaming software, so I don't have a problem with that. But when I open separate tabs while I'm on live, it's failing my browser for some reason. So I need to get my computer checked. Okay, so now let's talk about it. How spirituality can benefit your mental health. Now, we know that life is marked with ups and downs, highs and lows, joy and pain, anger, sorrow, happiness, and all these different things, all these different thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And we manifest these things oftentimes through our thoughts and the things that we say. Words have power, We can speak things into existence, and our thoughts also have power. They're electromagnetic energy that manifests. The Bible says, whatsoever man thinketh, that so he is. That tells you that your thoughts absolutely are energetic and they can manifest things. Okay, now we often look within ourselves or seek external outlets to describe the many negative emotions and thoughts that often flood through our minds, during challenging situations, like when you're dealing with grief, the loss of a loved one, and things like that, or when you're stressed out, maybe you're dealing with a health issue, those types of things. But however, there is growing evidence that shows that spirituality may be beneficial, have a very positive effect on our mental health during these difficult times. And some people think that spirituality and religion are the same thing. And I told you this before. They're not the same. They have two totally different concepts. And, they may or may not overlap. Some people are both religious and spiritual. Some people are just spiritual. And if asked about religion, they say they're non-denominational. Because you see, religion is based on a system of beliefs and practices and rituals to worship a supernatural being. Whereas spirituality tends to focus more so on a person's quest to understand life's true meaning, their divine purpose, for them to figure out the path that they're supposed to be on, okay, to guide them, the need for them to be guided on their spiritual journey to find the true purpose of themselves, and as well as their connection to beings, to other beings, to nature, and to the Most High, something bigger than themselves. Now, one can practice spirituality without being religious. Now, Paul Mugain, who is a chaplain at Sharp Grossmont Hospital, says that indeed many people now prefer the designation of spiritual, non-denominational, instead of identifying with a religious tradition or denomination. Someone can be spiritual but not religious. And like I said, some can be both. But what is spirituality? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, one spirituality can find expression in religious beliefs and practices, or practice in isolation as part of a community. It just depends on you. See, a lot of people go to religious services and churches and things like that because they want fellowship. They want to practice together. They want to engage in a fellowship where they feel that there's like-minded people around them, all praising and worshiping in the same way. But some people who are spiritual, those people usually tend to practice by themselves. Sometimes they'll be involved in meditation groups and things like that, which I occasionally do. But for the most part, spirituality is something that we do on our own. So spirituality is attended, or some people may have spirituality practices where they attend, different things and events, like going on a spiritual retreat, going off somewhere with a group of people to practice yoga, their mantras and things like that. Now, at the end of the day, there's no driving scientific manual about which you should do, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But the benefits of spirituality, well, according to Mugain, along with giving your life meaning and purpose, spirituality can also sustain hope in the face of overwhelming odds. Spirituality can furnish reasons for the why, or for the way life is unfolding, okay, which can then enable the individual to endure any hardship that's put before them. Now, for some people, spirituality even provides meaning to a brief and often challenging life. Now, this is all what Mugain says. And it is important in how one understands and accepts oneself and others, leading to healthy and nurturing communities. Spirituality can also be helpful in evaluating one's life and guiding them into acceptance of their situations and experiences. Now, this yields a sense of purpose and a sense of peace, calmness, and tranquility, even when they're facing dire circumstances. Spirituality plays a significant role in decisions of what to let go of. Whether injuries are done to oneself or to another, bypassing the destructive effects of anger and resentment and realizing the wisdom of letting go of what matters, or things that don't matter, or things that you have no control over. Okay, this is a good way to avoid unnecessary worries, anxieties, and stresses. The practice of spirituality makes and holds room for compassion for self, others, and the world. And it's very important that you're always speaking positively about yourself. Positive self-talk is paramount. Okay, I told you that numerous of times. Get away with the negative ways of thinking, the negative thought patterns that just keep you low vibrational and always make you find yourself in some sort of nefarious predicament, okay? There are some things that we cannot control. And so why would you waste your time worrying and stressing about things that are out of your control? There's no need to do that. Just let it go, because life happens, and just roll with the punches in some cases. But if there are things that you can in fact change and that you can make better, then do that. But you have to know the difference. It's no need to worry about things that are not going to go away just because you're worrying about them. That's not going to solve anything. In fact, it's only going to make it worse. Now, with that all being said, spirituality plays a significant role in decisions of whether or not we let go of certain things, like I told you. Okay, now science, the science of spirituality. Additionally, Mugain remarks how a handful of studies have noted how spirituality can benefit mental health. These studies show how practicing spirituality can help people develop certain qualities, a sense of inner strength, comfort, peace, and hope that may improve their coping mechanisms during stressful times. It can also help reduce anxiety and depression, better endure feelings of anger. You'll be able to deal with anger a whole lot better when you're spiritually in tune. You see, because when you start going on your spiritual journey and you start becoming more aware and raising your levels of consciousness, well, that's when you start to realize, things that are not good for you. And you also start to realize there are certain people that are not good for you and how you need to just let them fall by the wayside. And then it's more easy for you to understand why you have certain feelings about certain things. And it's also easier to let those things go. Okay, it helps you to deal with your anger and your guilt. It literally will help you rise above your emotions, like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches. And I always tell you this, you have to learn to rise above your emotions into a clearer mindset, because a better and more logical way of thinking comes. When you're angry and upset, do you ever notice that you're not thinking rationally sometimes? You ever notice how you don't really focus on things that are important? Have you ever been in the car driving and arguing with someone on the phone, and then you miss the turn or you miss the exit? Things like that. And that's why you should never, for one thing, be arguing while you're on the phone. Okay? I tell my youngest son that, because sometimes him and his girlfriend will get into spats and they like to talk to each other while they're driving. And I always tell them, stop talking on that phone while you're driving. And whatever you do not get into an argument while you're driving. That could be definitely a means for disaster. Please pay attention. Okay? Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, hold on, I lost my place. Okay, so it can provide peace of mind from other emotional distresses. All right. Now, there's also evidence that individuals with high levels of spirituality tend to have better mental health and a better quality of life. Over time, through their practices, they develop ways that help them better cope with adversity. You see, that's one thing that I absolutely know to be factual. You see, I don't shy away from adversity. I can meet it head on, because I know how to deal with things better than some people. You see, some people get so mad and upset, they lash out, like the video that Willie D did when he was cursing everybody out and going all ham, right? And how I told you that when these types of things happen to me, when it's criticism, even if it's negative, I don't allow it to get the best of me, or the person or people that are saying these things to get the best of me. I just laugh it off, because I know who I am. And that's why it's very important that you know who you are, and that you have a strong sense of self, and that you believe in yourself, and you have a high level of self-esteem. I'm not talking about being arrogant, but I'm talking about being confident. Because when you feel that way about yourself, you'll be less likely to be bothered by the chatter of other people who are naysayers, haters, and people who are just saying things about you, trying to bring you down. Like the young woman was talking in the video. She said that this guy she was dealing with, when she broke it off with him, he was upset. He was upset and he was mad, and he started doing all sorts of things. He even tried guilt tripping her. And that's very often what people do when you end a relationship, whether it's a platonic relationship, an intimate relationship, whatever. People will tend to try to guilt trip you. Some people will threaten to hurt themselves. This is all just a ploy 9 times out of 10. Because if someone really was going to hurt themselves, would they really be telling you? You see, when someone threatens something like that, it's usually a manipulation tactic, because if you really wanted to do it, you just do it. You wouldn't be telling someone else, because if you tell someone, 9 times out of 10, that person's going to try to stop you or get you some help at the end of the day. So people play these little mind games. And this is all because they're low vibrational. And when you find yourself in the presence of people who are low vibrational, always negative, who are psyche vampires, who leave you feeling drained as though they just snatched all of the energy, sucked all of the energy right out of you, you need to cut those people off. You need to scale back just a little bit from them. It's okay to love them from a distance. It's okay to talk to them every now and then, but you don't need to talk to them every day, because energy is absolutely contagious. Take it from the young lady, the way she said that guy being hateful and mean and attacking her made her want to do the same to him. And this is why many people are behind bars right now in prisons all over this country and other countries, because they could not control their emotions and they allowed people to push their buttons. And the people who push their buttons, guess who those people are? Those are people that are close to you. That's not the enemy that you never fool with. That's not somebody that you don't have conversations with. People who push your buttons are people that are close to you, because you've told them your business. You've told them, in some cases, your flaws. You've told them things that you don't like about yourself. You've told them things that you've done that you don't want everybody to know. They can get mad and use these things all against you. They can absolutely get upset and use all of these things against you, or use these things to provoke you. That's what they can do. They can use those things to make you angry so that you lash out and act out of character. Because sometimes people set you up. And sometimes people smile in our faces pretending to be friends, but they're really not. All they are enemies who are posing as friends so that they can have a front row seat to our demise. And you have to use your gift of discernment, because we all have discernment. The problem is all of us don't listen to it. We don't acknowledge it. We don't listen to our inner selves when it's screaming out to warn you. We don't listen to when the Most High is whispering in our ears and trying to tell us something. When we were kids and they had the little cartoons with the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, that was supposed to represent your consciousness. Of course, we didn't know that as we were children, but that's absolutely what those things represented. The devil on this side trying to tell you to do something bad and nefarious so that you get yourself into trouble. Meanwhile, the angel trying to tell you not to do it. Don't listen. You need to be doing this. That's how it is in real life. How many times have you thought about doing something low down or something mean or something bad, something you knew you shouldn't be doing, but it was a little voice in the head, in the back of your consciousness, in your head, telling you, no, don't do that. You know that's not right. Do you want to go to jail? You want to make trouble for yourself? You want to get fired? How many times has that happened? So you see, that was just like those cartoons. Okay, they were giving us subliminals even back then. Please pay attention. And energy is absolutely contagious. Do not find yourselves hanging around negative people on a regular basis. Now, we cannot help but be around negative people. There's negative people passing us in the grocery store. There may be an Uber or Lyft driver that picks us up that has negative energy. We may see them in a movie theater, sit right next to them. I mean, there's a myriad of times. We can't avoid them altogether, but what I'm saying, what you can absolutely do is decide whether or not you want to spend a majority of your time around negative people that you know personally, because you know people around you. You know what kind of friends you have, what kind of family members. You know the family members that are messy and keep up drama and gossip and tell lies and steal and do all sorts of nefarious things. You know who those people are. And the ones that are always trying to talk down on other people, what if they talk down on other people to you? You don't think they talk down on you to other people? Of course they do. That's what gossipers do. They keep up mess. They don't say, well, I'm just going to talk about this person, but not these. No, they'll talk about anybody and everybody. Okay, at the end of the day. So you know that these people are low vibrational, so why would you be around them? Do these people want to see you do good? Well, no. 9 times out of 10, they don't, because they're not doing good. You see, if they were doing good, they wouldn't have all this extra time to be so low down and negative and always hating and worried about what somebody else is doing. They'd be more focused on themselves. But if they're not focused on themselves and they're focused on other people, do you really need to be around them? Because if you're on this channel, you should absolutely be focused on yourself. Making yourself a better person, trying to be the best that you can be so that you can give service to others. That's what it's all about, right? Now, Spirituality's role in emotional health. So, how does spirituality promote positive mental health? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Spirituality tends to involve practices and behaviors that may improve emotional well being. Okay, now this is what Mary Heineke, a licensed marriage and family therapist at Sharp Crossman Hospital, says. Saying that, for instance, spirituality may, number one, promote positive health related behaviors such as meditation, physical activity, and altruism. Don't we learn that on this channel? Don't I always encourage you to meditate? And by the way, if you're not following my meditation channel, the universal language, universal spelled Y-O-U, please make sure you follow that, because it's plenty of meditation sounds for you to listen to as you meditate and relax, as you sleep at night, and all of that, okay? The videos last for about 10 hours so that you can literally sleep while it's playing. So also physical activity. Right, because we all know we should be eating healthy and exercising. I've told you all of this before. Reduce illness. So this is also what spirituality does. Reduce illness-related behaviors such as drinking and drinking alcohol, that is, and smoking. That's absolutely true. We talk about all of this on this channel. Enhance a person's sense of self and personal growth. That's right. If you didn't see the video or you've forgotten about the video that I did, The Power of I Am, please go back and watch it. Okay? It tells you how everything you say after the words I am, continuously or repetitively or consistently, this is what will manifest. Now, if you keep saying, oh, I'm so broke, oh, I'm so this, I'm so that, and you say this on a regular basis, you'll stay broke. And then you'll wonder why, when you pray to the Most High to send you the funds, why it's not coming. Well, because you're stopping it from coming, because you're sending the universe mixed messages. You see, the universe takes everything literally. That's why back in the days of the ancient times, our words were so much more powerful than they are today, because back then people didn't mince words. Today we do. Today we say things like, oh, my feet are killing me. When you come home with tired feet and you kick off your shoes and say, oh, my feet are killing me. Well, we all know your feet couldn't literally kill you, but because we mince our words, now the words have lost some of the power. The words still have power, but just not as much. So now we have to work harder to manifest things into our lives with our words. Please pay attention. Now, also, it instills appreciation and awareness of one's interaction with their environment and other people. It provides access to a network of social support to sustain emotional and psychological well-being. While there are different ways to keep your mind healthy during life's difficult times, as well as various resources to help you, what matters most is finding what works for you. Whether you turn to professional help, spirituality, religion, loved ones, or community groups, the goal is to promote your emotional well-being. That's what it's all about. You don't just need to worry about your physical health. There are people that go to the gym and work out every day, eat a healthy, balanced diet to make sure they're getting the right amount of protein so they can build muscle mass and lose fat. But some of those same people never even think about their mental health. It's very important to focus on your mental health as well, okay, to keep yourself mentally strong. And there's people who don't focus on that. And how do you know some of the people that don't? Well, those are the people that when something happens that they absolutely could just get over with. You know, they could get past it if they just do the right thing. Very often, these are the people that want to take their own lives. They want to take themselves out because they can't stand the pressure. They can't withstand it. Why? Because they're weakened. Why are they in a weakened state of mind? It's because they've paid no time. They've paid no concerns. They've given no effort to working on their mental health. They have not done so. And so they find themselves feeling defeated. And they give themselves, very often, they'll take a permanent solution for only a temporary problem, because taking your life is never the answer. But some people will do so because they just can't cope, because mentally they're ill prepared. And why can't they cope? Well, because of these malevolent energies and entities that attach to them, that put it in their head that, hey, life is not worth living. God doesn't love you. Nobody cares about you. Why are you even here? These are the thoughts that they'll have. And they'll continue to think these things over and over and over unless someone intervenes or unless they have a spiritual awakening. Okay, please pay attention. Also, before I end this, I want to tell you all this. How many of you have heard of ditrithyl-tryptamine? How many of you have heard of that? Ditrithyl-tryptamine. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Dimethyltryptamine. How many of you have heard of it? Dimethyltryptamine. Have you ever heard of that? Anybody on this channel should have heard about it because I told you all about it before. Dimethyltryptamine, for those of you who follow this channel on a regular, specifically if you're members, you should remember this. Regina says no. Okay, so let me tell you something about this. Now, it is a known fact. Here's the thing. Let me say this first. So, schizophrenia. Okay, let me tell you what shamans think about schizophrenia and other mental illnesses. All right. You know how people that have schizophrenia may say they hear voices that other people can't hear. They may see things that other people can't see. And then they'll be told that it's hallucinations. They're not really seeing these things. I'm here to tell you they are seeing those things. They are seeing those things. They're absolutely seeing them. These people with schizophrenia, the ones who think they have different personalities and all of that, the ones who can act and behave in different and strange ways, when, just for no reason, apparently sometimes. These people are tapped into the spiritual realm. These people can see things that we can't see because they're tapped into the spiritual realm. But here's the thing. You see, shamans, and I'm a shaman. I think many of you should know that by now, specifically those of you who've had consultations with me. But here's the thing. You see, shamans believe that people that have schizophrenia or certain types of mental health disorders are tapping into the spiritual realm, and they're chosen people. They're the chosen ones of us. Okay? And here's the thing. Now, you may say that sounds crazy because some of these people go out here and commit heinous crimes. Yes, they do. And do you know why they go out here and commit these heinous crimes? They go out and commit these crimes because these malevolent energies and entities attach to them, attacking them. You see, these things, these malevolent spirits, they are attracted to people with spiritual gifts. Whether you're a person that has schizophrenia, whether you're a person who's a psychic, a medium, clairvoyance, they're attracted to that because those people can see into other realms of existence, into other dimensions. And when you can see into other dimensions, or when you can tap into the spiritual realm, guess what happens? Sometimes these malevolent entities will attach themselves to you. They will even attack you. Sometimes they'll possess you. Sometimes they'll possess you. And so this is what shamans do. See, as shamans, when we see somebody that has that kind of issue, well, more so in the older days, some shamans still do it. But what they would do is they would work with these people. They would help these people to tap into their spirituality, into their divine gifts. Okay, allowing them to raise the Christ within energy. They would help them through this process so that they would be awakened, because that's what it is. It's really a spiritual awakening that's trying to manifest. But if the person isn't guided, if they're not spiritually in tune, and if they don't know about raising the Christ within energy, guess what happens? Low vibrational entities, we call them demons or daemons, these things come and attack them and then take over them, sometimes literally possessing them, sometimes just instructing them to do wicked and nefarious things. This is absolutely what happens. So please pay attention. But here's the thing. It is a known fact that these people who have schizophrenia, they have 47% of dimethyltryptamine in their brains. 47%, okay, of this chemical, dimethyltryptamine. They have 47% of this in their brain. You know what that is? It's called the spirit particle. It's called the spirit particle. So they have 47% of this in their brain. So you think that they're not in tune with the spiritual realm? You think that's not why they can really see and hear things that the regular average person couldn't? Okay, so these people are chosen. And when you are a chosen person, guess what happens? You'll be attacked. You'll be attacked by negative entities. Okay, this is what happens. I mean, just think about it. You know, when you think about the story of Jesus in the Bible, remember how Jesus said to be the Son of God, had all these powers, was supernatural, could perform miracles and all of these things. Well, what happened? Jesus was attacked. They crucified Jesus. They wanted to destroy him. He was chosen to bring the message of salvation and to bring people to the Most High. So this is what happens in real life. I want you all to pay attention. Dan says, what about people on the autism spectrum? Thank you for your contribution, beloved, and your question. People on the autism spectrum. Now, I wouldn't say that that is someone who's chosen, because you see, people do nefarious things to make people be autistic, or to, you know, we've learned recently that large amounts of mercury and some of the things, and I'm not going to say the word because I don't want ScrewTube getting giving me a strike or whatever, but some of the things that we've learned recently that can be given to people that contain mercury can make you develop autism. Okay? So I wouldn't necessarily say that. But schizophrenia, I would absolutely say so. Because see, here's the thing. Most people on the autism spectrum, they don't really have visions, and you don't usually see them talking to themselves, or it looks like they're talking to themselves or talking to someone that we can't see. These are the people that I'm talking about, the people with schizophrenia who say they can see things and people think they're crazy. These people are really seeing things. They're really talking to people. That's what's happening. We just can't see it. We just can't see it. So I want you all to pay attention to that, because it's very important that you know the difference between all of these things. It's also important that you exercise discernment. Okay, that you exercise discernment when it comes to things and situations that you may potentially get involved in, and certain people that you may find yourself around. Because just like the young lady said in the video, sometimes these malevolent entities will attach themselves to other people so that they can ultimately get to you. And let me say this before I go. There's a true story, and I actually did a story about this on my paranormal channel. There's a true story about this girl from Germany. Her name was Annalise, and this happened back in 1975, I think. So they made a movie about it called The Exorcism of Emily Rose, but it was based on a true story where this girl who was Catholic, she went to church and all of that, and she was very devout with her religion, and she became possessed by multiple demons, malevolent entities. And so when she ended up losing her life, but they put the priest who performed the exorcism, they put him on trial. They charged him with her death. And while they were carrying on the trial, a psychologist got on the stand to testify. And when they asked the psychologist, why was this young woman possessed by all of these demons when she clearly was devout in her religion and went to church and all of that, and was a good person? And the woman said it was likely because she had spiritual gifts, because these entities are attracted to people with spiritual gifts, people who are psychics, clairvoyant, and things like that. And I'm here to tell you that's absolutely true. I have seen demons myself. I've been attacked by demons, and I've had people that had demons that were around me that I had to get away from. Okay? I can literally smell the demonic energy on them. It smelled like rotten eggs, a toilet someone didn't flush, dirty mop water, anything rancid and pungent that you can think of. That's how it smelled. Like a sewer. Okay? Because these are unclean spirits. And these unclean spirits want to attack people that have spiritual gifts. And why do they want to attack people with spiritual gifts? Because when you have spiritual gifts and you're using them as the Most High wants you to use them to help others, to raise others' levels of consciousness as well as your own, when you're trying to live in your divine purpose and go on your spiritual journey, these demons, malevolent entities, they want to stop you from doing that. They don't want you to use it for the Most High. They want you to use it for something low vibrational and nefarious. Rotted meat, Khalid Harlim says, absolutely, beloved, absolutely. That's one of the main things, yes. So they want you to use your spiritual gifts to do wickedness and nefarious things. And that's why they'll attack you. And it's easier for them to attack these people because these people, again, are in tune to the spiritual realm. They can literally reach out to the spiritual realm. Okay, so pay attention to that. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Memberships start at $2.99 all the way up to $49.99. With each different level of memberships, you get different perks. Okay, so it's very good to have one because I give much more detailed information for the members. With that all being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you got something from it. And for those of you who are members, I will be posting something for you, and we'll be going live with a special members only broadcast later, probably around 6. But also I'm going to post another guided meditation video for you as well for members only. And for those of you who aren't members, I did post a guided meditation video yesterday for you all to watch as well. If you missed it, please go back and watch. All right. So with that all been said, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace. Thank you.